Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel here at Crypto Nation. Here we're back with another title of here we at Crypto Nation Reacts from the Altcoin Daily. They're a pretty big platform. They keep us updated with what's going on in the crypto community. And the title of this video is called "Breaking: The U.S. Treasury Steps to Avoid 2024 Market Collapse." So let's see what they're talking about here, saying that the Treasury's stepping in. By the way, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button for post notifications. Just help the algorithm. It just also, just helps the information get out there. But anyways, let's see what they're talking about here.
Again on the reason Bitcoin's selling off.
Breaking news today in crypto. The US is about to launch a $50 billion treasury buyback program. That's $8.5 billion buyback in August, $31.5 billion buyback in September, another $10 billion buyback in October. And if you hold cryptocurrency, how this affects you, the printers are back on.
What is a treasury buyback?
Let's go through this data because these buybacks are more urgent than you'd think. And this is the Treasury. The Federal Reserve still has yet to act.
Because the Fed's not buying right now. The Fed is selling. And so the Treasury has just decided, well, we will step in and do that buying ourselves. Yes, we will have to completely offset every dollar.
So will this be as significant to crypto prices as the last time we saw QE? But just understand the reason Bitcoin crashed. The people that are selling.
If you look at what was going on a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we were at peak euphoria. Bitcoin was at 70,000. Today it's down in the low 50,000s. Nothing has changed. You continue to see Bitcoin be the strongest computer network in the world. It still has hundreds of millions of people who hold this. It's still, if not the best, debasement hedges available to us in finance. And so I think that this is a classic signal where you get this fear and panic that spreads throughout financial markets. People run to their accounts and they sell. But ultimately, looking at the fundamentals, nothing has changed.
So the fundamentals haven't changed, but again, then who's selling? Because despite this crypto crash, BlackRock, MicroStrategy, Fidelity, Grayscale all sold exactly 0 Bitcoin. In fact, they're buying. Accumulation has not stopped. So the sellers must be who?
When you go and you look at many of these sellers, they're usually people who are looking for short-term profits. All of a sudden, the price goes against them, sometimes with margin, and so they begin to sell. Now, what's really interesting is that still more than 50% of all Bitcoin is held by people that have long-term kind of strong hands. They haven't sold or moved their Bitcoin in over a year. And so half of all of the circulating supply is illiquid, and that tends to support Bitcoin from going down even further. So yes, a 25+% drawdown is big, but we used to see 30 and 40% drawdowns. And so actually these drawdowns have become more muted than they were in past cycles.
So getting these short-term speculators out of the market, transferring their Bitcoin into the hands of the long-term holders, that's par for the course. 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And the mainstream media won't share this with you. I will. That's why you subscribe to Altcoin Daily. New. Morgan Stanley's 15,000 advisors to start pitching Bitcoin ETFs from tomorrow. This is one of the major wirehouses with over $6.3 trillion in assets under management, finally allowed to pitch Bitcoin to their clientele.
The wirehouses, which dominate our customers, so Morgan Stanley, all the advisors at these wirehouses, Morgan Stanley, UBS, Merrill Lynch at B of A, Wells Fargo, not one of them has approved Bitcoin on its platform. That hasn't even happened yet. And those are our primary clients. When that happens, wait until you see.
Explosion.
And Michael Saylor on CNBC Today, comparing a U.S. Bitcoin strategic reserve, meaning the U.S. buying Bitcoin, which Senator Loomis has proposed legislation, compares a decision like this equivalent to the likes of the Louisiana Purchase.
You think a strategic reserve for Bitcoin is a good idea?
If you have at least $50,000 saved for retirement right now in 2024, did you know that you can become your own?
Well, Thomas Jefferson purchased the Louisiana Territory for $15 million in 1803 and nearly double the size of the United States. Seward paid $7 million for Alaska. It's got $1 trillion of oil underneath it. Everybody's going to be doing business in cyberspace. Bitcoin is scarce, desirable digital property. It's a great idea to trade a little bit of currency or paper for some place that billions of people are going to be in 100 years. So yeah, I think it's a great idea.
And again, understanding all that, understanding.
Yeah, guys, Michael, I like Michael Saylor, the way he breaks everything down. He breaks it down to a T about, getting in early. He can clearly see the future, see where everything is going, with Bitcoin and digital currency and everything.
That long term, we have incredibly bullish catalysts. In the short term, liquidity affects everything. That's why we're seeing these buybacks for traditional markets to stimulate that economy, that liquidity. US to commence its treasury buyback program ahead of the Fed rate cut, meaning that it's not one or the other. The Fed rate cut is happening. There's a 100% likelihood that at least 25 bips happen in September, maybe more.
Fed funds futures are now all in, not just for a 25 basis point cut in September, not just a 50 basis point cut in September, but there is now a significant percentage odds that we will see a 75 basis point cut.
Obviously, something like this alone would be significant for risk assets like crypto. It's the current administration's treasury wanting to jumpstart this. This move aims to manage the supply of government bonds in the market and support liquidity. It appears that the current administration doesn't want the markets to go to crap yet. And now that Kamala has finally chosen Tim Walz as her VP, the official Democratic ticket announced, their positions on crypto, while neither have taken a public position on crypto, this is an opportunity for them. Silence is complicity. And just so we're clear, I loved this 40-second explanation on what a treasury buyback is.
What is a treasury buyback? If you want to put it very, very simply, it's paying off your debt early. So you as an individual, let's say you have a car loan that matures or you'll pay it off in 4 years from now. You could pay it all off today, pay that debt off early. And essentially what you're doing is the same thing as what the Treasury does when they conduct a treasury buyback. They have debt that they're going to have to pay back in full, let's say in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or 30 years. And instead of waiting that full time in order to pay that debt back, they decide to just pay it all back now.
And by the way, you may remember a few months ago, they started some buybacks on very...
Well, I think that's a pretty good idea for the treasury buybacks, to pay it back early. I don't know. I think that's pretty good.
Very much smaller terms.
They have over the last couple of months been performing very, very small scale buybacks just to test out the system. But more importantly, in 2000 through 2002, the U.S. Treasury engaged in a massive buyback program.
So really what this all tells me, number one, this is not as significant as the money printing we saw during the COVID pandemic crash of 2020. It's not as significant yet. This is another major step forward where a different government agency, in this case the Treasury, is saying, hey, we sense a problem, there's a lack of liquidity, and we will stimulate the economy to prevent a short-term collapse.
And the way that they're funding those buybacks is by borrowing short-term debt instead. In other words, issuing T-bills.
This is good for Bitcoin. My Bitcoin investor's thesis summed up in one meme. It's pretty obvious. And while nobody knows what markets will do a month from now, let alone a day from now, I think this wick from this last major dip for Bitcoin, to me, pretty bullish. It shows we got bought up very fast. Now keep in mind, even when we saw that huge correction back in 2020, we saw a huge collapse in price to the downside, a wick get bought up very fast, but still, even in the days to come, it was chop solidation as the market had to regain confidence. I would expect a similar chop solidation in the days and weeks to follow. And next month, when the Fed cuts and the on-ramps are even more obvious, be ready, stay subscribed, and like always.
All right, guys, that concludes that episode of Crypto Nation Reacts. But anyways, like I said, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button for post notifications. And as of right now, Bitcoin is at about 56,900. Look like it's trying to break and hit that 57,000 again. But anyways, we'll see what happens. But anyways, that concludes the episode of Crypto Nation Reacts. What you guys think about the Treasury stopping the economy, from whatever crashing or paying back the debt early. But anyways, tell me what you think, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.